What is going on out there, everybody? And thanks again for joining us here on Expanded Perspectives with me, Cam Hale, and as always, mi amigo, Kyle Filio-Filson.
How's it going, everybody? Yes, I'm here in studio on my peg leg.
Yeah.
Proud to
Shorty the pimp.
I have I don't know, what do you call these things? A walking boot,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah.
I stepped in a hole recently while out measuring a home that I did not see, and I rolled my ankle. Now, when I first did it, I was like, ooh, that could have been bad. Didn't feel too bad, but a couple hours later, started swelling, started getting real painful. The next day when I tried to get out of bed, I couldn't put any weight on it. So I had to go get x-rays and stuff like that. Turns out
Nothing's broke, right?
nothing's broke. Some like pulled ligaments, and then on my back of my heel, I had a very large bone spur.
Yeah.
And when the Achilles got pulled real intensely, it pulled the bone spur off the bone.
That sounds bad.
And I guess that's what's causing all the inflammation and pain. So anyways, I have to wear this stupid boot for 4 to 6 weeks, which I can already tell you ain't going to happen. I know out there people are shaking their head. I don't know if I know it's a guy thing, but when a doctor tells me something, I don't believe it 100%. I'm always like, yeah. Most guys probably take 4 to 6 weeks. Me, nah. 10 days. And my wife's already mad. She's like, why aren't you wearing it? Because I'll be at the house not wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does it bother you? Does it cause you pain?
Dude, you better wear it.
I know. Are you like that too? When the doctor tells you something, you're just kind of like 80% it?
I used to be. I wouldn't even 80. I was 50-50.
Look,
like I would go, and if they didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, I was like, I don't even know when you got your medical license.
Why is that? What is
I don't know.
But why are men that way and women don't seem to have that?
Because that's why they live longer. They're not, because we're stupid. If I would even go to the doctor. But since I've started going to the doctor more, and as I've gotten older and dealt with like injuries that have not gone away, I've gotten to where more and more and more I'm like, man, I better make sure I do this right.
Maybe they know what they're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, that's it. It's like, man, it's funny that the person that spent 12 years in medical school knows a little bit more about the human body than I do. Right?
I got Google.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I got WebMD.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I should have died like 12 years ago if I'm going off WebMD. Yeah, I get it. But I'm telling you, as we're getting older, you might want to keep that on there, because what's going to happen is, what if it gets to be nagging for the next 10 years?
Well, that's exactly
because
right.
you didn't leave the boot on for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, and I've got a snowboard trip coming up in January, and the doctor told me, you don't wear that boot for 4 to 6 weeks, you ain't snowboarding. It's like, ain't that my luck?
You're right.
I pay for the whole shebang, and I just got to sit by a fire and look at everybody mad.
That's what I told you.
Get to play gin rummy or whatever with Luke.
Yeah. So I didn't play cards.
Yeah.
Watch
solitaire.
TV.
I have to play solitaire.
You can get off into some of that Colorado edible up there and take you a nap.
Now that's going to happen either way. But I don't want to go to the hot springs and stuff.
Sure you do.
My wife loves that.
So does mine.
I don't get it.
Because they love hot water. They're crazy. Yeah, I don't sit in that stuff. I'm not sitting in hot water. I'll tell you something else that I'm not doing.
Okay.
I'm not going outside and looking up for stuff like this. Get a load of this. So Lon had recently posted this over on Phantoms and Monsters. And what's odd is I've been looking and constantly looking for gargoyle stories.
Yeah.
Just not because only of the stuff going on like we see in Illinois and all that. Just the idea. Remember the old movie Gargoyles? Remember I'd sent it to you on YouTube where you could watch it? Because I know Luke's probably likes it.
Oh, he's seen it, and he's watched a whole cartoon series on gargoyles.
Yeah, I used to like that one too.
He's got all the toys like earmarked. That's what he's wanting for his birthday, because his birthday is in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so
it's
is yours.
fixing to be. Yep. It's fixing to be.
So
here.
yeah, Luke knows all about it. You want to talk to him?
Yeah. So I've been hung up on gargoyles, right? I need to talk to Little Fizzy, get him over here. And then here goes Lon's like, hey, I got a gargoyle story. And so he posted up, and I go over there, and I've got to tell y'all this. Get a load of this. It says in 1990, Monica Polino moved into a semi-detached backsplit house. She was 20 years old and living on her own. A week after moving in, she began experiencing night terrors. In her dreams, she would see people being killed in various ways, dismemberment, decapitation, etc. Some months later, she woke up to see a dark shadow standing in the closet, moving to the foot of her bed. And at the foot of her bed, she could see what she could only describe as the Grim Reaper. It says a dark robe, skeletal face, just standing there. It was even holding a scythe. And that she also saw on the bed a small gargoyle-like creature that had alligator skin and tiny little claws, and it kept looking over at the Grim Reaper as if waiting for the command to attack.
Ugh.
So it goes on to say that she initially thought it was a nightmare, but it happened night after night. So she would wake up to them standing there, and then after some time, they would fade out. She began to find bruises and unexplained scratches on her body. She started sleeping on the sofa, clutching the Bible, and eventually, Monica moved out, and the experiences stopped for a while. But in 2018, Monica was living in a new house with her teenage son, Alex. She had not seen the Grim Reaper in 28 years after she moved out of the previous home, but she'd never forgotten about it. She often spoke of the entity and his companion to her son, and in the winter of 2018, she had gone on a retreat. When she returned home, something was very strange, and it began to play out. She started to feel horribly ill and depressed. She experienced insomnia and felt restlessness. She woke up one day to the sound of a voice, but nothing was there, and this voice was ominous. It says a few days later, while walking down the hallway to her bedroom, as she approached the doorway, she looked and saw, standing by the end of the bed, was the Grim Reaper. The same one that she had seen back in when she was 20. He was exactly as she remembered. She screamed in horror. Her son ran upstairs to check on her, and he too saw this entity standing in the bedroom. He stopped dead in his tracks, staring at it, says this thing was real. Alex began yelling at it to leave, and it did. It appeared to vanish from the room. They looked outside, and now it was standing on the lawn looking up at them, almost as if it had teleported or misty stepped, Kyle.
Yeah, that's right.
Out of the room in a blink of an eye. And it said they had a medium coming there doing an investigation, opened the door, said all this stuff. They believe, as it goes on here, they believe this is a demon, is what the medium believes. Some people that did the investigation of the whole thing believe that it is a demon. But my question is this. I don't remember ever hearing of like a gargoyle-like creature ever being involved in some kind of demon thing. Like when you think of a demon, we always think of it being shadow people. Right. But we don't see a physical manifestation of it. Like they're bringing up a tiny gargoyle. Yeah. And this gargoyle creature was with it the whole time. And this thing looked like the Grim Reaper.
Maybe that's the Grim Reaper's familiar.
But exactly. But if I don't get the whole idea of the Grim Reaper. Like I don't understand it. Is it coming but not doing anything? The story drives me crazy. Yeah. It's because it's a terrifying thing that's attached itself to this woman, just like people that we know that have these spirits or some sort of entity like this attached to itself.
Right.
So just the idea of a tiny familiar gargoyle is pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Speaking of awesome, check this out. We got a listener that called in with a crazy story about having some prophetic dreams. Yeah. Check this out.
If you had the ability to predict the future, what would you do? Do you think it would be a blessing? Or perhaps it would be a curse? Have you ever dreamed of something while sleeping, only to find out later that it all came true? For Levi, that's exactly what happened.
Hi, this is Levi. I have a weird story that I'll just start with. I had like a raging, like extremely raging fever. And I know there's like fever dreams and stuff people have. Although my fever dream actually turned out to be true. I had a fever dream that my cousin, that wasn't really supposed to be able to have kids, was going to have a daughter and name it, let's say her name is now Veronica, because that's not her real name, but we'll just say it was Veronica. I woke up on my couch, ripping off frickin' sweating blankets and stuff, just drenched in sweat. And my grandma called me. And, I called my grandma. I don't know why. I called my grandma, probably because I was like, hey, Grandma, I think I'm going to die. What do I need to do? And she told me that my cousin was going to have a girl, and her name was going to be Veronica. That is kind of trippy and weird, if you ask me, because I had no idea. I just thought it was a dream.
What would you do if you suddenly realized that some of the things you dreamt about later came true? Would you ever be able to sleep again? What about nightmares? Something like that could have devastating results on someone's mental health.
I have another odd occurrence. I had some raccoons. They were trying to live around my house a little too close. And one night I was just fed up with these little trash pandas. And I looked at my wife and I said, I'd rather deal with a skunk. At least, they usually leave. The next day, a skunk came in and the raccoons are gone. Skunk hung around for a day, maybe two, and then left. And we didn't have any raccoons until I accidentally left a bag of cat food outside. Then that brought some more raccoons in months later. But yeah, that's my weird stories. I enjoy the show. Keep doing what you guys are doing.
Do any of you have this ability? If so, did it happen only once or multiple times? They say we only use a small portion of our brains. Perhaps we can all tap into this ability. We simply don't know how.
There you go. I don't know if this has happened to anybody out there listening out there to us, but this person had some crazy intense dreams and then they came true. What is that? Is
like a premonition of some sort?
Yeah, like how does that work? Why does it work? Why did it only happen a few times? Like what is it about that? And this is part of the brain and consciousness and all this that people and scientists, they don't understand.
Well, and I think you and I have discussed it before on here. I remember reading stories of tests, of things actually done to help like people that take the test, that if you go back after a very hard study and say you went and tested for a chemistry exam, and then you went back and read through your practice test and redid it again, that the people that did that have a better chance, actually do better on the tests, even after it's been taken, than those before it.
That's crazy.
So and I don't understand, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But like if you go back and restudy after you take that test,
you have
a better result of passing. How is that a thing?
It's the galaxy rewarding you for putting in extra effort?
Yeah, and maybe it's just the odds. Maybe the people that are willing to do that are the ones that are willing to study that hard already.
Probably.
You know what I mean? To go into it. But as far as a premonition, have you ever had a dream where something like has come true like that?
No.
I don't remember ever having.
No, in fact, it's been the opposite. I had several dreams as a kid of like I got a toy or something I really wanted and I jumped out of bed and went there, and then about halfway down the hallway I realized I dreamt that I did in fact have that.
Yeah.
Like I remember waking up one day and I'm like, man, I can't wait to go out and ride that new KX125 my dad got me. That thing's going to be awesome. Got up, went outside.
It isn't there.
Man, that was a dream. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
more than once that's happened.
Yeah. I've had some let me down dreams, but I've never had a premonition like that. Not that I'm aware of.
I can't either. I can't really say that I have. Nothing that would stand out. I mean, this stood out. Really stood out.
Yeah, I think if you had something like that happen, it would distinctly jump out at you.
Strange, man. And there's always those people that are going to say that there's some people that have an ability to do that, that they see things. But I know that there are strange coincidences, but I still am kind of skeptical on those things, because if people were 100%, they always knew the future and stuff, why wouldn't they play the lottery or lots of things they could do? Stock investing, and there's just a whole myriad of things, sports betting, that they never seem to. That's why I'm always like, convenient. It's like McDojo life. Like he's got these videos of guys and like, you can't hit me because of my chi. Yeah. But yeah, you never really see the guys actually fight. And the few times they have on YouTube doesn't work for whatever strange reason.
I think there's certain people with these abilities. Well, this is what I just don't know that.
I'm not saying that there are no people that have special abilities. I agree. I think that it doesn't work like they want it to. It's not like the Force.
Yeah.
Where I can use it at will. I think just randomly you're like, crap.
I think some are tuned differently, right?
Predicted that they're right. Like something told me to brake and I did, and there was a car wreck right in front of me.
Yeah.
But I don't have the ability to where like I can move objects with my hand.
Man,
or
I wished I did.
You see nothing here, and I wave my hands. Like it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, me and you know a medical intuitive whose husband died of like horrible cancer. Well, if they were so in tune with medicine, how did they not see that coming?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't work like that.
That's what exactly.
I think it just randomly.
I don't think that you can dial it in on one thing, like specialize in, like you're talking about, like one thing. I don't think it works that way. I think it's almost like the people that seem to really be in touch are those that are like in touch all across the board. You know what I mean? Almost like they're tuned in.
Maybe they're just paying attention.
That's probably it.
Like maybe it's happening to everybody. We're too caught up in our lives to really pay any attention. Because if you notice, the people that claim to have a lot of these abilities, these are what? These are people that like practice yoga.
That's what I'm saying. They're
breathing.
In tune.
They're calm. Their life is calm, so they're able to notice it. Where everybody else in your life's in chaos, you ain't got time to pay attention.
And you and I have discussed this too, about like up in the mountains, like when you're hiking and you're camping, you're hunting. It's funny how fast your body can fall into that rhythm of where you get the best sleep ever. It's, you know what I mean? You're away from all of this static, and that may be it. Maybe all of what we're going on, maybe all of us actually have some heightened abilities that are being suppressed because of food, because of how we live, because of Wi-Fi, because of whatever
all of that.
Over the years.
I mean, they know that Wi-Fi affects bees, so how could it not be influencing us?
It's got to. Right? It's got to.
That's what's causing all the craziness. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe it's just the population. Like, and we're not meant to live in groups this large.
But also the speed of life. Like you said, we're all so busy. We're all so busy chasing things that it's, nobody rides for free. Everybody, you can eat whatever you want, but there's always a payment for it, right? Mm-hmm. You can drink this whole thing. Maybe this lifestyle of like you're talking about is of this whole generation, all of us grinding and going, and maybe that's what's causing the better life. The harder you strive, the shorter life is.
Maybe. So what plan do you want?
Oh, my plan?
No, I'm saying that's your everybody out there. That's the question.
Yeah. I think I could live like...
You want to live long and a boring life, or super fast and super exciting?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think somewhere in the middle.
That's where I'm trying to be.
Right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm trying to milk everything out of it by the time I'm like 65.
I mean, like when you're all the way something, like all I eat is vegetables. I'm like, man, really? You don't like fried chicken? You don't like just steak every once in a while? Yeah. And it's the complete opposite. People, all I eat is a carnivore diet. You're like, man, you might want to mix in some veggies.
Yeah, you don't, right, exactly.
Right? I mean, every once in a while, ice cream's...
Variety. Isn't that what they say? Variety is the spice of life.
That's it.
There we go.
That's it. Well, let's take a break, folks. And when we get back from the break, I'm going to be talking about some more horrific Dogman sightings. Stick with us, folks. You're listening to Expanded Perspectives.
One of the strangest phenomenon in the realm of the paranormal and of cryptozoology is that of supposed real werewolves, or Dogman. Much like Bigfoot, these appear as hulking, massive mountains of fur and muscle. Yet, rather than ape-like, they are described as having decidedly canine features, often with a tail, and of alternating between walking on 2 feet or all fours. Like I've mentioned before, the first time I've ever heard about something like this is that it took place behind some casinos up in Thackerville, Oklahoma. And this was long before Jeff Lowe tried to open up a tiger facility up in Thackerville. If you've watched Tiger King or the second season recently, you'll recognize the name Thackerville. No, this was a werewolf-like creature, reportedly captured on security cameras, rummaging through some garbage dumpsters. Now, I've never seen the footage. I only heard rumors about it, and I have a very active imagination. But I remember thinking to myself, what the hell could they have seen? What could they possibly confuse with a werewolf with something else? Like, I mean, were they misidentifying a black bear? Were they misidentifying some other creature, maybe a large pet ape that escaped somebody's private collection? I mean, we know those things exist. No, this was described as a werewolf. And then sometime later, I remember hearing about The Beast of Bray Road by Linda Godfrey, where they're in a small town. A police sheriff had in the filing cabinet a file named Werewolf, and Linda was looking for her next story, and she happened to see that file, and obviously, like anybody would, she was like, what is this? And the sheriff was like, yeah, believe it or not, we've gotten several sightings over the years of people seeing what looks like a werewolf from the movies. So she dug in more, and it turns out there was a lot of those sightings. Of course, she has multiple books about it and everything. That's an excellent read. There's a good documentary about it. It's very interesting, The Beast of Bray Road. And then there was you remember, it was the found footage that somebody found an old VHS tape or Betamax tape or something in an attic at an estate sale. And in the video, somebody had videoed on a farm. It was like an hour and a half worth of home videos, mostly meaningless. But there was like a 15-minute part of that where it showed someone seeing something in the woods, and then this thing on all fours gave chase, and it was supposedly a werewolf. Well, it turned out later that video was hoaxed. But I remember over the ages, like the stories of real-life werewolves or dogmen actually started to increase. Well, today, fast forward, there's podcasts and everything else. I mean, there's thousands of sightings. You can go all over the internet. There's podcasts that are they're solely only about Dogman. Vic Cundiff has a pretty good podcast. I think it's called Dogman Encounters. I don't know if he still does it or not, but I remember back years ago, I actually spoke with him through email, not in person, but there's podcasts dedicated to nothing but Dogman. So, you'd think after doing a podcast for 10 years, you'd have some answers. The truth is, I don't have any answers. I'm just as confused as I was when I started, but at least I've heard more and more of these stories. So if I could say anything, at least I'm entertained still. The biggest question is, what are people seeing? Are the sightings increasing? Or are people just more comfortable because of blogs and podcasts and stuff, so they hear others share their stories, so they feel compelled to come forward and share theirs? I don't know. But the stories, or the reporting of these stories, seems to be increasing. Are they flesh and blood? How come we don't ever find any bones if that's the case? Are they demonic spirits that have taken over certain people, allowing them the ability to wild shape into something else? Are they skinwalkers? Or are they something else? I don't know. On today's show, I'm going to share some truly strange sightings of Dogman or werewolves. One very weird report of an apparent Dogman attack of some form comes from the site Beyond Creepy, and it occurred in the country of Mexico. The person who made the report says that it happened to his uncles as they were driving a cargo truck through a rather remote jungle area at night. As they made their way along the rough and rugged, unpaved road, something very large and heavy reportedly jumped into the back of their truck, and the person telling the account says of what happened next. They did not stop to see what it was because there were no lights on the road. My uncle, on the passenger side, saw this devilish creature that looked like a dog climbing closer to the cabin of the truck. They said this thing, whatever it was was huge. My uncle screaming in fear when they saw it. They said they tried to shake the truck, but it would not fall off until they hit it against a tree on the opposite side of the road. They kept driving all night to the morning, and they were all completely freaked out. When they got to a gas station in a small village, they saw slash marks and the hand prints of an animal, but it looked more like animal prints than human, on some of the windows, where it was trying to get in on the back trailer. They told their story to some of the villagers or farmers in the area, and they told them that dogmen like demons roam those streets and areas. And they were not the only ones who have been attacked before. They were also freaked out. The hair on both arms rises, even telling their experience. They said they never drove through Central America again, besides the cities or the villages, at night ever again. I wish I could have recorded them telling these stories. They have already died. But even before they died, they stuck to what happened to them, and they never did drugs. So that's a creepy story, but I like it, right? There's these small villages out in the middle of Central America where these dogmen attack passersby. It's kind of like in American Werewolf in London when the people at the pub, I think it was the Slaughtered Lamb, they're talking about, stay off of the moors. I know it's probably not real, but I like the idea there's certain parts of the world you can't travel through at night. Otherwise, you risk being attacked by a werewolf or some creepy creature like that. I like the idea of that. Our buddy Lon Strickler over at Phantoms and Monsters. Now, he has many sightings of these upright walking canines. And on one of these, this supposedly happened on a tract of forested land near the Ohio River in Maysville, Kentucky. Now, the witness was a teen at the time with a group of other teens just out messing around, exploring what they said was an abandoned hospital in an area called Hayeswood Hospital. But this night was about to prove to be a bit more eventful than any of them could have ever imagined. They had split up to go poking around the dusty ruins of this dilapidated hospital, and at some point, the witness became aware of a terrible stench, like something rotting, as he was exploring the basement of the building, which incidentally had once been used as a morgue. They said that the floor was flooded and covered in about 3 inches of water, and as he sloshed through it, he then heard a metal door slam and something run through the water some distance away. He says, and I quote, "I opened the door to the dock room, and when I looked back, I saw the arm of this creature sticking through the opening it had made, and it was like a horror movie. It was a gray and brown mass of fur. It looked like a human arm, but it didn't, because the hand was all wrong. The hand had 5 digits, but the claws would have made a bear run in fear. I slammed the door behind me and ran for the dock doors. The dock doors wouldn't budge, and I could hear the gurneys overturning and the lockers sliding on the floor. It was getting through, and the only thing between me and it now was a single door. I ran to one of the windows by the dock doors, and I proceeded to bust it out, which mangled my hand from the broken glass, but I didn't care. Then, as I was pulling myself through the window, I heard the door get slammed into, and one of the hinges completely flew off the door and hit the wall. I tumbled out of the window and hit the cold, wet ground. When I stood up, I saw it in the doorway. Now, I'm 6'4", 250 pounds, not little by any means, and this thing took up the entire doorway. An 8-foot-tall, 3-foot-wide door. It was covered, head to toe, in gray and brown fur. It had a very narrow snout, almost like a Doberman Pinscher, and its ears were just barely visible because of the doorway. Pinscher and its ears were just barely visible because of this doorway, but I could tell they were pointing up just like a dog. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was completely paralyzed with fear. This thing was staring right into my soul. Then it snarled, and that woke me up from my disbelief of what I was seeing. I turned and ran. I ran up the hill into the woods to get around the hospital to get back to the street where the car was parked. I hadn't made it 25 feet when I heard it clawing to get out of the window I just came through. I knew I would never make it to the car this way. So I ran back towards the hospital where the fire escape ladder was. I had used the ladder before to climb to the roof to take pictures of the entire town. I had completely skipped the first 3 rungs on the ladder and was now inside the enclosed part of the fire escape. Again, this thing howled, and I could feel waves of pure terror filling my body. My hand was killing me at this point, and I was getting blood on everything. Just as I was reaching the first floor window I could climb into, this thing slammed into the fire escape ladder, knocking me down a couple of rungs. It leaped onto the outside of the fire escape and began furiously clawing at my feet. Just as I reached the window, I felt it. Pain like I've never experienced before. It had just grabbed just above my ankle and yanked, and in doing so, shredded my boot, the end of my jeans, and into my flesh. I was able to pull myself into the first floor window, and I heard it push itself off the fire escape and head back the way it came. I'm now dragging my left leg, trying to keep my right hand in my hoodie pocket. The entrance we came in front of was about 100 feet away, down the main hall and around a left turn. As I'm halfway down the hall, I hear the steel doors slamming again. I'm dragging myself down the hall, just trying to stay focused on getting out of this hellhole. Then, the howling starts again, and I can hear it getting closer. I make the turn and hear the pounding coming up the stairs from the basement. I make it to the entrance and hear the patting of hands and feet on the floor. I made the mistake of looking back just as it rounded the corner, and it was running on all 4s just like a real dog. I bolted down the hill towards the street where the car was parked and realized the car was gone. They left me. My only way of escape was gone. When the cops got there and asked me what happened, I told them the same thing I've said here. Of course, they didn't believe me and thought I was on some drugs. The EMTs took me to the hospital, and when they did blood work and found no substance in my system, they then concluded that I must have been attacked by a wild dog. I ended up with 36 stitches in my leg and 17 more in my hand. I had to get rabies shots and then tell the local wildlife officer my story. He informed me that they had other reports of wild dog packs running around the outside of town, ransacking garbage cans and killing some of the local pets. I informed him that it wasn't a pack of wild dogs, and that it was a giant Dogman. But they all just thought I was crazy. The only thing I had in my favor was the claw mark on my leg. Even the doctors were confused about how a wild dog could make a mark like that. Wow. Terrifying, if true, right? Can you imagine being stalked and attacked by a werewolf? My only question now is, now that he's been injured by a werewolf, now according to movies, on the next full moon, he'll become a werewolf. So perhaps this person is a werewolf at this point. I don't know. Check this out. The following incident supposedly occurred in 1977 at an undisclosed location in West Virginia. A boy growing up in a farming community in West Virginia had called his parents to tell them that he was staying at his grandparents'. The witness recalled that his grandfather was agitated about something and, over supper, asked him if he ever saw any strange animals in the area. The witness hadn't, so the grandfather alerted him to the fact that there was a predator on the loose and that he should remain cautious. Before bed that same evening, the witness observed his grandfather sitting by the living room window with a gun. The grandfather told him to lock the windows in his bedroom. The witness assumed that there was a bear or a coyote running around. The witness went to sleep, but was woken up by the sound of something later. He opened his eyes and looked out the window. He saw nothing. He eventually got up and went into the living room where he saw his grandfather sleeping in a chair by the window. The gun was ready and at his side. The witness went into the bedroom to get some water, and when he came back out, he heard something growling. Now to him, it sounded like it was coming from the window the grandfather was sleeping in front of. As he approached the window, he noticed that it was opened 2 or 3 inches, just enough to get a gun through it. The witness looked and saw nothing in the window. He then went to get some candy from a bowl in the living room, and that's when he observed a claw coming through the window, palm facing down, as if it was going to push the window up. The witness clearly saw what he claims was 3 fingers. The middle finger was the longest. Now, years later, he claimed the fingers reminded him of the claws of the creature in Krampus, specifically the scene where he points his finger into the woman's face. Now, he says he screamed in fright, which woke up the grandfather. The creature also screamed. The grandfather went into the fight mode and proceeded to hit the creature's fingers with his gun. The witness grabbed a knife from nearby and also stabbed at the fingers. At that moment, the grandmother rushed into the room and turned on the outside light, which lit up the yard. The witness could see the creature clearly standing in front of the window. He even looked into its eyes. The creature took off running, just as the grandfather raised his gun to shoot it. According to the witness, the creature appeared to be angry and was growling as it ran. The witness acknowledged that he had wet himself during the exchange. I don't blame him. And at some point, the grandmother stated that the creature had returned. "It's back," she said, which surprised the witness. They proceeded to tell him that the creature had been seen around the property 3 years earlier, but had left. They assumed that whatever it was had been killed. It had only started appearing again some 2 weeks earlier. Now this upset the witness, as he had been planning on moving into the property, and he wishes he would have been alerted about this predator, whatever it was, far earlier. The grandfather was in a deer stand, bow hunting, when a strange creature attempted to climb the tree and enter the stand through a door latch. The grandfather shot at it and stabbed at it, but it never stopped coming. Eventually, it attempted to poke its nose through the opening in the stand. That's when the grandfather stabbed it in the nose. It managed to get a paw through and slashed the leg of the grandfather. The creature fled after that. The scar, which they showed him, was visible. And he said that the creature had a scar on its nose, and that was the same one staring through the window. As well, the grandfather also had a scar on his leg. The grandfather claimed that he waited in the stand for 3 hours before feeling safe enough to climb down and leave. They had never heard of a Dogman at the time, so they just referred to it as a werewolf. Within 2 weeks of the window encounter, numerous farm animals began turning up dead. The grandfather became worried and began driving the grandson to school bus and picking him up when he returned. 2 weeks later, the witness remembered the grandfather failed to show up. He walked home and saw the truck parked. He assumed the grandfather had simply forgotten. As he entered the barn, he found the grandfather dead. He had been killed. The witness could not bring himself to go into detail about it. The witness notified family members. Later, the police determined that he had been attacked by an unknown animal. Within 2 weeks, the grandmother left the property and never returned. She passed away in 2010. The state claimed the property for unpaid taxes. Wow. So the thing got him, even in the daylight. So perhaps it doesn't just shapeshift when the moon's out. Also, this is the second story where people have been scratched and attacked, and there's no mention of them turning into a werewolf themselves. But, terrible story, even if it was something explainable. Horrible. Check this out. It says, my daughter and I were driving home in rural Michigan in the Upper Peninsula during the summer of 2018. We were almost home when we saw this strange black being that was running faster than any animal I've ever seen. At first she said, "What is that?" Then she said, "It looks like a werewolf." Then I paused and said, "That may be a Dogman." It ran on all fours. It had a long body and was very muscular. The face looked like that of a wolf in one way, but different in another. There was something about it that looked human. It's hard to put into words. I kept my eyes on it the whole time. Its body seemed to be running in like glitches. That's the only way I can explain it. It ran so fast, but it was also looking in our direction. My daughter was so freaked out by it. I was just kind of amazed and kept saying, "That was either a werewolf or a Dogman, I know it." I could see its teeth for a second, which were that of a wolf. But I swear the face was half human and half animal. It ran so amazingly fast, faster than any other animal I've ever seen. The darkness of its color was also kind of strange because it was so deep black. Once it was past us, it disappeared. I never took my eyes off it, not even once. The thing vanished. This is hard to put into words what we saw and how it happened, but I'm telling you, it's the truth. I'm 61 years old, and my daughter is 41 years old. I'm not telling this for entertainment. I'm telling it because it's the truth. It wasn't the size of a dog because of the strange length of its body, being so long compared to that of a normal dog. The face was bizarre, being half human and half wolf. I go by this area daily, and often when I'm with my daughter, I ask her if she believes what we saw. She doesn't even like to talk about it. And amongst ourselves, we kind of joke, but she's still so freaked out about it. And there was no one who can actually say for certain, "Yes, that is what you saw." My first thought was werewolf, but I've read numerous stories of others in Michigan who have had these same strange experiences with something they call the Dogman. So I'll never know 100% what I saw. All I know is that it was something very strange and not normal. The reason I didn't have that fear, probably because I was in a car. It was very still and it was light out. It ran across the road in front of us. Although I do have to say later on, I hope it didn't follow us home. I think about this experience almost daily. The way it ran. So bizarre. It happened so fast. I wish I could have captured a picture. My daughter is so spooked about it that she still gets shaken when talking about it. I believe there's a lot of things out there we just don't know about yet. CF. Well, I agree, CF. That's why I like these stories. I don't pretend to think I know everything about the world we live in. That's why I like these stories. People are seeing something. I like the story for the fact that it disappeared, like it was something from a parallel universe, like it's something bleeding through, and the fact that it was really black, like Venta black. It's kind of creepy, right? Check this one out. When I was 18 years old, I was visiting a friend who lived out in the boonies. She had 20 acres of land, horses, and had no neighbors at all living around her. During the visit, I helped her with some outside chores that took almost the entire day. It was working, and she was about 50 feet away from me with another person chatting, and I was looking for a good place to go walk my dog. As I stood there looking at some open field with a large bluff of trees behind it, my eye caught a glimpse of a dark figure hiding behind some trees. It stood upright and seemed curious about me. I had no idea that Dogman existed back then, so my initial thought was, why is someone wearing a fur costume in the middle of nowhere? I stared at it for a while as it stared back at me. It had a snout like a dog, long, straggly furred arms with long-fingered hands. I could not see its legs or its tail because of the shrubs in the tree. Now that I know about the Dogman, I do believe that that's what I witnessed that day. Allison. Really? Very creepy. Check this one out. A very, very good friend of mine was working on a ranch up in Montana back in 1986. He was herding up some horses and went up over a hill with forest on either side with a small clearing to his left. The horses were uneasy, which brought him to notice something in a clearing to his left side. There, squatted over an animal, was this huge gray, red-eyed dog thing. That's the way he explained it. What really stood out to him was that it had 3 really razor-sharp long claws. 3. The light was shining through the trees onto him, and it turned and looked right at him, and then turned back to whatever it was eating. I always believed my friend and his description as clear as day in my own mind. I never heard anyone else talk about the 3 claws, though, so that's why I always listen to other people's Dogman stories. Thanks, Catherine. Crazy, right? What are people seeing? I still don't know. And there are stories everywhere. Let's take a break. I hope you enjoyed those. Stick with us, folks. You're listening to Expanded Perspectives.
Back with Expanded Perspectives. More strange sightings. Still have no answers. I don't know why people are seeing these things. I don't know what it is that they're seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know if the sightings are increasing or people are just feeling more comfortable coming forward with it. But it seems to be a long...
Both.
I think both, right. There seems to be a history of these things. And maybe perhaps they were confused as Bigfoot earlier. And now there's a clear distinction between the two.
These things have to be some sort of like portal jumping, plane shifting.
Well, there's definitely not a lot of evidence for it. I mean, even as silly as it sounds, there are lots of casts of Bigfoot prints. I've not seen anybody with a cast of a large canine footprint the size of an iPad.
Ooh, and there's another part to that story. I don't want to see that.
No.
I don't want it to be real.
No,
I want all these to be misidentifications of Bigfoot. That's what I want them to be.
Yeah, for whatever reason,
they're not.
It seems worse, right?
It is.
Speaking of scary, me and my wife went and saw the movie Antlers.
And what'd you think?
I enjoyed it.
All right.
I liked it because...
2 thumbs up. So we both enjoyed it.
I liked it because it was unique. It was different. Hollywood is full of remakes, rehashes of old movies. I like it when something original happens. And... it kind of fits in our wheelhouse with the Native American legends of the Wendigo.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you don't get to see the creature very much, which is always a plus for me. It makes it scarier, right?
Yes.
When you use your mind to scare you. So if you're looking for a good scary movie, I would go see it. Antlers. I think it's still in theaters, but I'm sure it'll be out on streaming services
soon. Yeah, I'm sure.
Very soon. Nowadays, it doesn't seem like you have to wait more than like 30 days and it's out. Like you just told me the new James Bond's already out.
Did you watch it yet?
I have not. I plan on it this weekend.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If y'all are listening to this, I'll be on an adventure.
That's right. When this airs, you'll be already out of town.
I've already gone. I'll be in Colorado or Kansas right now at this very moment. I'm not sure which, because I'm not sure exactly the way the dates fall. So I'll be up there. So if you want to see some crazy stuff, I'll probably be posting stuff on my Instagram page. I have stuff up there, but I'm going with Blake from the Stickbow Chronicles and another friend, Tony, and he's up there. So I'm going up there and I'm doing video footage. I'm going to be doing a lot of videoing for mule deer hunting and whitetail hunting. We're going to do a bunch of decoying.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, Tony's got the compound, and of course Blake hunts with the stick bow, so it's going to be a really good time. And then we'll be back, so I'll have some pretty wild stories to share with what I find up there and see up there.
Speaking of videoing and Instagram and stuff like that, a lot of people liked the photoshopped picture you did of Luke.
Oh, Luke ghost-busting, yeah.
And of course, Luke
it turned
liked
out.
it.
I'm glad. We got to get Luke to do more things.
Oh, he's already jumping up and down.
Perfect.
He's got about 8 projects for you already in the works.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Like some of the stuff he wants you to do, I'm like, I don't know if he can do that yet. Like, just
I'm not that good.
Settle
at
down.
It. Yeah,
but
I can try.
Isn't that amazing what you could do? And just that. This is kind of where I'm going. This is what proves my point. The fact that you could do that relatively easily with not a whole lot of experience to a photograph when you see these photographs of anything, whether it be cryptids, UFOs especially, it's hard for me to believe when I see a photograph because I know what good people can do with Photoshop. You know, when you see these pictures that people post, I don't care how good it is. I have to remain skeptical.
Yeah.
Because I know what people can do. I think some people are fooled because they don't know what you can do. Like my mother has no clue on how that was created, has no concept. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I was to show her a really good picture you did of a UFO and said that a listener sent this to me, my mom would believe it's real. She'd be like, look at that. I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, we digitally did that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that don't know because if you're not really in to photography and using Lightroom and these things, After Effects and Photoshop and stuff, if you're not in that world, you don't know that what's possible. You don't know what you can do. But I've seen hundreds of videos on people manipulating pictures, and we even have a couple listeners that that's their job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal with the stuff you can do.
Well, and not just like crazy pictures like I did of Luke, but like normal photos where you could go in and change the color of one car.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody would ever be none the wiser. They would think that yellow car had been in that picture and you'd set it up just for that. And actually that car was like, I don't know, green or whatever it was, or purple or whatever you did, and you made that car look like that.
Unless it's like in the National Enquirer or something like that. Almost any photograph you see of anybody famous, I believe, has been manipulated, messed with.
The National Enquirer.
You know, those are the ones that always show them like out of shape. You know what I mean? It's always like, look at this guy on the beach on his vacation. I always feel bad. I'm like, leave the guy alone.
Yeah, right. Who says y'all got to? Nobody needs to look
right.
a certain way. Their whole, come on.
Look what happened to Batman. I'm like, he was Batman 28 years ago.
That's right.
Let him go. Did you see the Batman in his prime when Adam West was Batman?
Yeah.
Was not a fine physical specimen.
Hey, now that's Adam West.
Yeah. I'm not a big Batman fan. I'm here to say it. Batman is probably my least favorite character.
Why? Because he's a rich guy that just knows how to fist fight?
I just don't like it. The whole thing's stupid.
Here we go. Anyway, folks.
Now the new Morbius, that looks awesome.
Now that is awesome.
But the just Batman.
I'm not a Batman fan.
No.
Although I will say, as a young man, the Michael Keaton Batman, I remember getting caught up in the Batman craze as a kid. Everybody had Batman shirts and Batman caps and because that crap was everywhere.
You know what my favorite part of it? My favorite part of it was the secret lair he had where the bushes would move open and he would drive out. I thought that part was cool.
Well, that part is cool.
Because who wouldn't want to have a man cave hidden inside of a mountain like that?
Dude,
and the cool gadgets, but outside of that, lame.
Lame, yeah.
Not a good, no.
No, of course it's not. He's not a real superhero. I don't care what they say. He's not a real superhero.
No, he's just a tough guy.
Nah, he's just a rich guy.
Why even wear the outfit?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because he fell in a well.
Well, other than hunting, what else you got planned? Anything new?
No, I don't have anything going on that I'm aware of. Nothing.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to just try to walk around in this peg leg boot of mine.
You just got to heal up. We're spending as much time in the woods as you and I can. We've been going, and so yeah, that's what we'll be doing. And when I get back, we'll be doing it. We got to fill the freezers, man.
No kidding. Time is going by so fast. I can't believe it's like halfway through it already.
Yeah, we got to get busy. We got to get on this.
Well, don't forget, if you have a story and you want to share with Cam and I, just email the show at expandedperspectives@yahoo.com. You can call the show 888-393-2783. I said 817. That's my area code. I was about to give out my phone number. Please don't do that. Please subscribe, rate, and write us a review on whatever podcatcher you're using. Please share the show with your friends and family and coworkers and stuff like that. And please go over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Even if you have no intentions of ever listening to us over there, we're trying to grow that. So go over there and click on the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Till next time, folks, be safe. I'm Kyle. He's Cam.
Peace, y'all.